Hey guys, John here. The more patches we make, the harder it becomes to name them. So this one is called Language of the Gods, and it's a pad. So this is what it sounds like. Alright, so I think you get the idea. So for this one of the first things to keep in mind is that this is actually going to be two different toxic biohazards. The first one is going to be this pad. The second one is just going to be the bass and lower end to kind of fill in that bottom spot. So if we turn the bass off, it's going to sound like this. And then the bass itself is going to sound like this. If I can get the buttons right, here we go. So just some low end, nothing too crazy. And we're going to go over both of them just so we know what's all going on here. So for our pad, let's solo this and let's kind of just take a look at what's going on here. The pad is going to reverb, so let's turn that off for now. And then I also have a little bit of EQ here, which I'll turn that off. Kind of normal stuff, cutting up the low end and some of the mud, maybe increasing a little bit of highs. But anyway, let's turn that off for now and look at the patch itself. So what's going on here? So we have 8 voices of unison. The detune is at 24, so 4% more than the default. Full unison pan right here. And then the attack, decay, sustain, release. This is going to be more so important for this patch since it's a pad and you want to always have it moving in time and all that stuff. So our attack is going to be 4.659 seconds. Our decay is at 8.258 seconds. Sustain 81%, and the release is 3.442 seconds. So with a lot of that release, it almost sounds like there's already some reverb on there, but yet there's not. There's going to be a little bit of drive at 9%, and then also the volume is down minus 4.9 because the more oscillators you add, the more noisy or louder it gets. So always be mindful of that master volume up there in the top right. So for our first oscillator, it's going to be sine 3, free running, so nothing too crazy with that, 100% in the mix. The second oscillator is going to be down an octave at the regular sine, and that's going to be 40% in the mix, so kind of carrying a little of that low end there. And then the third oscillator is going to be TX1 up 7, so adding that fifth to that sound, and that's going to be mix 44% in the here in the mix. And there's also going to be hard left, so minus 50% on the left there. Same thing for the one on the right. So oscillator 4 is also going to be the same waveform, TX1 up 7, so that fifth. 44% in the mix, but also at a hard right. So these two kind of work as a pair. And then also these last two work as a pair as well. So added noise 1 for both of them. They're both up 1 octave. 32% in the mix for both of them, and then minus 25 on the left, and then plus 25 on the right. So as we start to add these here, it's just to kind of listen how the sound is getting built. So this is just oscillator 1 here. So we kind of already have that style or that texture of that sound. If we turn off some of this delay in these two delays here, we can still kind of notice that. And then once we bring in the second one that's down 1 octave, it almost has a little bit of an organ kind of vibe to it. And then once you bring in the fifth for the left and the right, it almost sounds a little bit like there's a choir kind of singing, like a voice of some sort. Now bringing in the noises for the left and the right, 1 octave up. It almost kind of gives a little bit of stringish, a little bit of saw wave-ish type of texture to it. Which is going to be really nice once we add the reverb and the effects and everything. It's going to kind of give it a little bit more differenceness to it, if that's even a word. So moving on, let's go to the filter here. We're in the low pass, and the attack is going to be 0.524. The decay, sustain, release is going to be at the top, and then the envelope amount is going to be 12.25%, so to the right. The cutoff is at 71%, no resonance. The key tracking is at 7%, so just a little bit. It always goes a long way. And we're also using the LFO1 amount over here at 14%. So we'll go over to the LFO1. This is free running, sine wave, sync 4/4. And now the interesting part of where these delays come in. So the first delay is going to be 1/4, so this time doesn't matter. Feedback 60%, rate 24, depth 19, blur all the way at the top, and then the mix 48%. So we're kind of using these delays to add more of the sound, kind of make it a bigger thing over time. So then now this delay, this 1/4, is getting fed to the next delay, which is at 2/4. So we'll turn this on. Like I said, time doesn't matter for this since it's synced. Feedback 60%, rate 24, depth 20%, blur 100%, and then the mix at 47. So once I stop it, so I'll press play and then I'll stop. So those delays are able to carry on the sound a lot longer than usual. Plus with the long release time, it kind of almost simulates that reverb style. And then once we put more reverb on there, it's going to be even bigger than it was. So now at this point, this patch is pretty much close to done in the synth itself. So externally, I went down to the EQ, turned that on, and kind of cut off some of that low end, cut out some of the muds that I felt was kind of cluttering the sound, and then brought a little bit of the highs in there. And cutting off this low end and the mud down here and bringing up the highs, it makes it sound a lot more focused and brings out the clarity and makes it a little bit better sounding, I think. And then once we add the reverb in there, which is vintage verb here, quite a big reverb, decays at 11.4 seconds. And yeah, let's turn this on and check that out. And that's that pad in a nutshell, and it's really nice to do even just lower droning kind of sounds to it as well. Or even on the higher end. But yeah, I'll let you guys experiment with that patch if you'd like to. So the next thing here is going to be that bass I was talking about as well. So this is also going to be Toxic Biohazard, and it's nothing too crazy. I have two sine waves here, this left one and this right one, which as you can see, well, the first one is going down 1 octave. It's a sine wave, 100% in the mix, left 50%. The second one I used for FM, as you can see here. And then the third one is going to be on the right, low end as well. And I used operator number 2 to frequency modulate 1 and 3. So this operator 2 is modulating frequency or oscillator 1 at 29%, and then it's also doing it to operator 3 at 29% as well. So that would sound just like this by itself. So you kind of get that low end FM bass, which I'm sure you're hopefully familiar by now. And you can really use any bass. I just dialed this one up quick just to kind of fill in that low end, and also wanted to use Toxic Biohazard in this situation as well. So with all that being said, everything together would sound like this. So that's pretty much it. If you'd like to get the patch, it's available for free in the video description below, and hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you in the next video.